Hi everyone. So today we're going to be talking about types and Booleans in Python. So each value in Python has a value and a type, although the type is not usually as explicitly labeled as it is in other programming languages that you might have used, such as Java. So three commonly used types are int, which is for integer values, such as 4, float, which is for real number values, such as 4.8, and bool, which is for values of either true or false, and this is very similar to the Boolean type in Java. So going into the basics of how bool works, these values can be set to true, for example, saying a is equal to true, making sure to capitalize the first letter. And then we can also print these values. So if you were to call print of a, then you would be able to run this cell and it will print out true. We can also use logical operators to combine different bool values. So this table shows the outputs of some of these, particularly for the and, the or, and the not operator. So for example, if we were to choose this first row here, if we set a equal to false, b is set to false, and then we call a and b, this would return false because if we're saying is a true and is b true, that's false because they're both false. Saying a or b is like asking is a true or is b true. That is false because once again they are both false. And then calling not a is like saying the opposite of a. So since a is false, not a is true, we'll print out true. Showing some examples of writing this out as code, if we set a equal to true and b equal to false, then we print out a and b. This is going to print out false because we're asking is a true and is b true? That is false because at least b is false. If we were to call a or b, this will print out true because we're saying is a true or is b true? That is true because a is true. So we'll go ahead and print this to show that that's what is expected. Yep, we got false for the first statement and true for the second. It's also important to note that there is precedence of operators in Python, and this is similar to order of operations or PEMDAS, meaning that, for example, with parentheses, we'll want to look at what's inside the parentheses first. So if we have the statement not a and b, we'll look first at not a. Since a is set to true, not a, that's false. If we have false and b, b is false. We have false and false. Overall, that will give us false, and that's what will be printed out. This second statement might look similar to the first statement above, but we'll be looking inside the parentheses first. So saying a and b, a is true and b is false, a and b overall will be false. If we say not false, that overall will be true, so we'll print out true. So always be careful to look inside the parentheses first and follow order of operations. One more thing that's important to note in Python is that you can perform casting. For example, going between different types like float to int. So if we have x is equal to 3.1, this is a float, and then we were to use int of x, this would be able to cast that value into int, which would print out 3 because that's the closest int value to 3.1. We can also convert between int and float to string. So for example, if we have x is equal to 3.1, and then we use str on that 3.1 value, then that would be able to print out the same 3.1, but this time that 3.1 will be of type string. So when first printing this out, that might not look super useful, but an important thing to note is that in order to combine with other strings, you have to first convert these int and float into the string type. So for example, if we wanted to print out string equals, which this itself is a string, plus then a number, we'd have to use the casting of str of 3.1 to combine them. And you can see we can get string equals 3.1, which is the output we were expecting. So these different tools can be combined to be really helpful for future projects.